Hello, welcome to QTV on this special program. Today, we dissect the 2025 Gambia Basic Education Certificate Examination results released by the Minister of Basic and Secondary Education on 23rd of September. The figures show improved outcomes in several core subjects. And just like last year, the girls lead the charge. We will unpack the numbers and ask what this means for classrooms and policy. So I'm joined today, on my right, by Mr. Claude Campbell. He is the Vice Principal of Mansakoli Bojang Upper Basic School. Yeah. And on my left, I've got the Permanent Secretary, Minister of Basic Education, Basic and Secondary Education, Mr. Louis Moses Mendy. And on his left, I've got the Principal of Ndaus Comprehensive, Harriet Martha Camara. Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Cheers. So now, let's get straight into the analysis. And I think I'm going to begin with you, Permanent Secretary. But before we get into that, Gabece, Gabeke, what is it? How do you pronounce it? Gabeke makes it sound so Greek. I don't know. I was saying Gabece all the time until I heard the minister.
Yeah, thank you very much. The right pronunciation, even though pronunciation is not something that is standardized as such, but as a ministry, we prefer it to be called Gabeke.
Gabeke.
Yes.
Then I will call it Gabeke. You've weaned me of my Gabece. So now, first question. Please give us a summary of the key highlights of this report, these results.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mboj, and good evening to you, good evening to your viewers and listeners. Basically, the Gabeke 2025 results has really shown some great improvement. First, I want to, as a way of setting the background, to say that the ministry is more concerned in the holistic view of things, rather than just looking at individuals or specific things and areas. By this I mean what we would want to see is to have more children into the school and ensure that these children at least transit to what we call basic education, and that is from grades 1 to grade 9. It's the minimum that we would expect every child to go through in this country as a matter of policy. Thereafter, the children or the child could also go from 10 to 12. Now, since we are looking at the Gabeke, which ends at grade 9, what we have tried doing is to revise our policy to ensure that every child that should be in the school is at the school, not at the home or in the streets. So we do a lot of canvassing for enrollment, so that children can be put into the school. So if those children are put in the school, then our interest should be all those children to transit from grade 1 to grade 9 with a general look or view and interest rather than just a few. So that is what these results have tried to show us as a ministry, that yes, the numbers that we've seen there in terms of passes and in terms of those who will be able to go to grade 10, it is the number is very desirable because it captures a majority rather than a limited few. And that's what we have seen. The other thing also we have seen is that, like you rightly said, the girls have continued to top the boys. I know sometimes we hear some comments from some quarters, but we are not worried about that as a ministry.
What comments? From what quarters?
The comments are always, oh, the girl child continues to dominate. What is happening to our boys? Generally, the overall student population of over 800,000 to 900,000 students, 53 to 54% of that are girls. So if you spread that in any of those levels, you are expecting, or you should be expecting, to have more girls than more boys. So that is not a strange trend or phenomenon. Beside that, we have also seen that we have a challenge in transition from our senior secondary school to university. So if we begin to drop the girls' numbers, we'll be worsening that trend of transition from the senior secondary to the tertiary or higher education or university. So we are pleased with the spread where we have more girls passing grade 9s than the boys, and we would expect that to continue as you see in Gabece, in Was, sorry, which is grade 12. And we would also love to see that transit to the university, to college, to tertiary education or higher education, as it were.
So that's the key highlights for you in this report. Your impressions when you read this report first?
Well, for me, first of all, thank you very much, Mr. Mboj, for this opportunity, and also PS. And I also want to say good evening to all the viewers here. The first thing I want to say is that maybe you can say that I am being a bit pessimistic, but I feel that yes, there's improvement, but if you look at it, almost half of the students scored between 6 and 42, and then half of the students scored between 43 and 54. I feel that that is a very great gap. Yes, because at the end of the day, yes, ministry is definitely glad that things are moving forward, which we all are. But I feel that more can be done and more can be expected in terms of performance, because we're not only talking about students getting good grades in the Gabece exams, we're talking about learning for life and also competing at the global level also. And then I'm also looking at the concern about the girls. For me, even though I'm a female, I also see that there is need for male empowerment. Yes, we want the girls to do better because we know that as we go higher, we see less of the female in the tertiary level and so on and so forth, especially when it comes to certain fields of education or career. But one of the things I'm really concerned about is how our boys really are when you look in the schools, when you look out there. I mean, the trend is very obvious. Even in the classrooms, you see more girls, you know, doing better than the boys. The boys always are happier being at the back. So when they eventually begin to mature and they want to catch up, it delays them. You can see that our boys can do far better and achieve more if at the upper basic level they are mature enough and responsible enough to understand that this is where it all begins. When you finish primary school, the spoon feeding ends. Now you need to learn how to study on your own, work hard, achieve, you know, have an aim, achieve, and then prepare yourself for high school, because that upper basic level is a foundational level which is very important for both high school and then also the tertiary level.
Yes, did NAUS put up students to take these exams?
Yes,
how was the performance of the school?
Well, our performance was good. We didn't get an aggregate 6 this year. We had last year, but this year we started from aggregate 7. And we realized that a lot of our students got, like I can tell you that we had 63 students between aggregate 7 and 25. And we had 144 students who sat for the exam. The parents were pleased because it's not only about us getting that aggregate 6. We are also concerned about every single parent coming to get their results and what they also think about the outcomes at the end of the day. So that is why for me, even though I'm pushing for aggregate 6, I want it badly. I don't know anybody who doesn't. You know, I had my own target for it. I was disappointed, but I'm going to keep pushing for it because that is exactly one of the milestones that we also have in place for ourselves. It is not just about getting all the students to do well. I mean, our fail rates are really low. We had only, I mean, out of 144 students, only 2 students got 54 and 1 got 53. Then after that, it was 46 and below, which also puts us somewhere because we are talking about 42. So we only had few students who had, above 42. So this is why, for me, I feel like there are different things that we're working towards, and we have been able to get, I think, 3/4 of it. But that one that we haven't been able to hit this year is that aggregate 6,
Exactly.
and we'll continue to work towards it.
Maybe here's the man to talk to. Maybe Mr. Claude Campbell.
Yeah.
You are the vice principal of Mansa Bojang, Upper Basic School.
Yeah.
Well, your school did the top performing school nationally,
Yeah.
right? Your first impressions of the results?
When I see the results, I think this year, looking at the trend, students have performed relatively better than last year. You can see improvement from 51% all the way to 55%. And as you rightly said, girls have performed way better than the boys. Maybe what she said, I can buttress on that. I think one of the main reasons is because girls mature faster than boys. So as she rightly said, when boys transit from the primary school to the middle school, usually there is that level of immaturity in them. So taking their work seriously, usually before they try to catch up, it takes a lot of time. So at that level, girls, because of they get emotional maturity earlier and they develop earlier, they tend to do better than the boys do. But if you look at the trend, as you are going to the senior level, you see that when boys start to develop that maturity, they tend to do better at the senior level. Although nowadays, I think the trend is slowly changing. I think the women are really pushing, and they are, let me say, making a comeback in terms of the Gabece, trying to dominate both the Gabece and the senior secondary school exam was. If you also look at it, I think by region, you can also see that some regions are really doing well, especially Region 2. You can also see Region 1 putting on good percentages of students who have done well, getting the pass aggregate of 6 to 42. So I think this trend is extremely good.
That's it. We'll get into the details more with the regions.
Yeah.
Why is it that Region 2 always has the highest numbers? The gender dimensions, Mr. Permanent Secretary, was there a kind of analysis of why are girls doing better?
Yes. I know they have mentioned in terms of the maturity rate and levels, but that is just one. We must recall that there was heavy investment that was put into the girls' education, which, if you recall, which led to some establishment of some structures like PEJEB, among others, which provided, even prior to the free paying fee, time, that was done to ensure that the girl child is provided some assistance. And if you look at what we've done also as a ministry, even across the regions, we've strengthened that in most of the regions that we do. So you'll see a lot of enrollment going in favor of the girls. So those numbers, when they are maintained all the way to Gabece, there is no doubt that the numbers of the girl child would outweigh the numbers of the boys, regardless or despite the issue that they flagged, that the girl child gets more matured, or faster than the male child. And he spoke on something that I would want to touch on. I know in your earlier question you say my feeling about the exams in general. Mm-hmm. We are happy as a ministry that if you look at the result, it has given us the spread across the country that we are expecting to see. And what is the spread? The spread is that we do not want the education sector to be only limited or focused in the Greater Banjul. And Greater Banjul spans from Region 2 all the way to Region 1. And that will even go further to be able to answer your question, why Region 2? For you to have a broader understanding of that. So this year what we have seen is that even our rural schools have stepped up in terms of performance. And that is what we are looking for a ministry. Because when we do teacher deployment, the other most important thing is teacher placement. which teacher goes to which school, so that all those subjects that are needed in the various schools are provided for in terms of the availability of teachers in those. And just to give you an example, if you look at the sciences, generally people don't like doing sciences. But if you don't have teachers going on to the rural Gambia to teach those, then there will be a limitation. But what we have seen in this result is that there is a general spread across the country, such that some rural schools have really done well by our analysis, and that is very encouraging.
That's it. So, but this is the key. You've touched on it, that when it comes to numbers, enrollment numbers, they're going up. But what about the learning outcomes, the results?
Yeah,
Are they competing? You know, my next question would be, is excellence really concentrated in certain schools, or is it spread?
No, it's for us in public schools, there is no concentration in certain schools. What we have tried to do is to bring in specialization, so that some schools weigh more on certain subjects, like the sciences, the civic areas, like the technical subject. So we have schools that are designed to major or weigh more on the sciences than the technicals or the commerce or the arts and so on. That's what we try to do, but not to say that we concentrate on a particular school or particular schools to have their performance better than the other. No. That's not what the ministry does, and that's not what we do in our public schools.
Oh no, we understand that, but it's just that the past few years, the usual suspects, Gambia Methodist Academy, Mansakoli, it's in the past few years we've seen the usual suspects occupying the top spots. So that was why I asked this question.
Now, it's good and let's go into proper analysis into this.
Good.
If you look at the numbers that go into Mansakoli, the Methodists and so on, in terms of class size, is different with government. Government has an obligation to ensure that it admits every child that goes to its school. It's an obligation. If a child walks to Gambia High School, there is no way that the principal of that Gambia High School will turn that child out of the school. The principal or the administration does not have the option to do that. Wherein in the private schools, they have the option or the luxury to choose and pick who they admit and who they don't admit. So we are obliged to ensure that we admit our students or any student that comes to our way, because that is why we exist in the first place, for the general good and not the privileged few. So that's what you see. There are even some schools, their total numbers is just equivalent to a class in a particular school. So you can imagine the facilities you'll be able to provide for those children in that classroom, everything that you want them to have, as opposed to a public school where the numbers would really make it difficult for you to make those provisions for every child in that school or in that class.
Absolutely. So the question will come back to you about excellence being concentrated in some schools rather than others, and the point that the numbers, what difference the numbers make.
I think with a larger sample space, I believe that you're supposed to be able to get more students. Let's say, for example, if we take, let's say, School X enrolls 1,000 students, at least, if not everyone, at least you should have around 700 students doing well. And out of that those 700 students, you should have at least 20, 30 that should be top of the pile. So I think enrollment is an issue, number is an issue, but then again, with a larger sample size, I think there should be excellence concentrated one way or another. I went online after the
so
results.
even with high numbers,
yeah, I think
achieve
excellence should be achieved, because, like I said, I went online after the results were released, and there were some questions asked about some schools like that have a lot of candidates, but then at the end of the day, the number of outstanding candidates were very few. I can understand the facilities that some schools have, some other schools don't have, but you look at it, these are all students exposed to basically the same teachers who graduate from the same Gambia College or the same University of the Gambia. So what is the main difference in a private school and a public school? And I don't think the size, to me, I don't think the size is one of the main issues. I still think excellence can be achieved even if the size is big or if it's small. That is, if it is should I say, managed extremely well, because like you said, we have schools here. The top 2 schools are from the private sector, and then we have St. Peter's, which is a public school. Then you go again, you have 2 private schools, and it goes like that. So the data here is not spread evenly, because these are schools that are very big, and they also admit anyhow very good students that come into these schools. Same students that maybe mingle around, grow up with these same students who go to private schools, etc., etc. So number can be an issue, but I don't think it's a major factor.
Okay. So very quickly,
yeah,
what's the single biggest factor that affects this?
I think the administration mostly. If we have a good, strong, active admin, I think that will help a lot. Teachers need to be, I think the ministry is currently doing that right now, and they are improving on that every time. But I think if teachers are monitored regularly, students are put forward and they are taught what they are supposed to do, because you have some schools that you will have students come around and say, we were in class and then XYZ was not in class for, let's say, a week, 2 weeks, etc., etc. So that also circles around maybe lack of proper monitoring tools in place for teachers, for students, and the admin, I think, needs to do better. It circles around the head always.
My former boss used to say that admin is the heart of every organization.
Yeah.
Your response to what we've said so far, including this excellence and how we can spread it.
I will have to agree with Claude, because I believe in the law of the lid. One of the things that Leadership 101, we had a retreat recently with all the board, the administrators, and all the teachers of Ndao schools just last month. And we spent the whole day analyzing our results from the top to the bottom to see where are we going wrong. And one of the things we were able to point out to ourselves clearly and admit to ourselves was we need strong admin. We need strong administrators who are not afraid to tell each other the truth, and look at also the teachers. We need to solidify the top, because management is doing what they can do, but we are the ones dealing with the day-to-day activities. And if you know the late Mrs. Harriet Ndao, you would know that for her also, she turned away no one. And I also believe in that vision. I don't turn away anybody in my school. They write entrance exams for me to be able to know where at least they are, the level, so that we'll be able to assist. But we don't turn away anyone. We haven't turned away this. I had just finished my grade 7 admission, and I didn't turn away anyone. But at the same time, we are able to at least manage each and every single one. So I understand what the permanent secretary is talking about in terms of quantity, because some will tell you quality instead of quantity. And the truth of the matter is, we understand that even if the structures and the facilities are there, but if you have a class size of 70 compared to a class size of 12 or 25, the teacher is able to give more, maybe pay more attention even to the children. And, you know, in terms of even when it comes to giving assignments, doing follow-up on, because feedback is everything. And trust me, teachers run away from feedback. So definitely, even if you're monitoring, what it means is that a lot more in terms of cost would go into monitoring those teachers. And believe me, when you're dealing with private schools who can feel free to charge whatever they want to charge, definitely it's easier. But then when you come to government, it's not so easy. You're trying to satisfy the needs of the teachers also. At the same time, you are also trying to make sure that you accommodate all the children in the country. My worry is, if private schools only take few, put cutoff marks so high, what happens to the rest of our children? How are we going to educate them? So there must be a balance. There must be a balance. Strong administration wider gaps, capacity, bigger spaces, but there must be ways of monitoring these things and making sure that our students are not cut out.
Just before you come in, I hope you don't mind me calling you so. Mr. Permanent Secretary, you want to respond to what's been said so far?
Yes, so
Yes.
just to start with her point,
Yes.
where she said, when the private schools take these numbers, where do the remaining number go to? That is the obligation of government.
Absolutely, yes.
That's where government comes in. That's the more reason why we cannot say no to a child or to a student. We have to admit them to our schools and ensure, as a matter of policy, that they transit, especially for that basic education, which is from grade 1 to grade 9. Whether the class is 50 and there is a child, it will be 50 plus 1. Whether a class is 70 and there is a child, it will be 70 plus 1. We don't have that luxury of saying. And she rightly said, if you look at our schools and the numbers of our students, you want to strictly go by the mode of operations that the private schools use. You will definitely disadvantage some students, some parents, and some stakeholders, because that would mean that those children would not have, she spoke about a class size, and I'm using her number, 12 against this. In that way, a teacher could be able to maneuver in the class and provide for all the children. And by the way, just to tell you that there are 2 types of students in every class. There are 2 types of children. And it is important for a teacher to cater for those 2 types of children. And these 2 types are those children that are the smart guys, what we call high flyers, those who enjoy the lesson as it is being taught, you know, the smart guys. And then the other class is those who, you know, follow, and we call them the enduring students. As a teacher, it is important for you to know that in a classroom and be able to provide for both the, you know, the enjoying students who are the high flyers and the enduring. In a class of 70, that will be difficult. In a class of 20 or 12, as our number is, it will be easy to be able to maneuver around that. So that is one of the things, or that is something that we should consider in terms of class. We are not saying yes is the ultimate, but it's a key player. You spoke about monitoring. We have monitors in all our region, but the schools are highly spread. A monitor has 12, 20 schools to cover. Would he be able to cover them in a week? If yes, would he be able to cover them continuously, week in, week out, month in, month out, throughout? You know, that is something that we also are aware, and we always try to encourage within the limited resources for visitations to happen. We naturally do visitation and monitor, even without this. Personally, I do it, not just because of exams or whatever. I wake up every morning, try to go to a school before I get to my office, just to see what is happening. If there is help I can offer at that point, if there is something that needs to be fixed, we do it there and then.
Absolutely. But just one more point here. Yes, one understands the holistic approach. You want everybody really to go through from grade 1 to grade 9 and the like. But it appears as if education is about sorting and selection and exams. Some people do fail. That's just the reality. You don't want to leave anybody behind, but the reality of what goes on is that some kids just fail. How do you integrate this into your scheme, as it were, into your frame?
I don't know whether you are aware that we have revised our curriculum. And the reason for that is to respond to these needs, such as what you've just mentioned. Every one of us cannot become a high flyer or is not a high flyer. So what happens to that cohort of students that do not fall within that bracket? We need to cater for them. And this is why we have expanded the curriculum such that everybody is catered for, including TVET. In our policy, it is indicated and it is being argued that we must start the concepts and the introduction of TVET early as grade 4. So that you just don't wait for students to get to grade 9 and start introducing some of these subjects to them. It will not work. But we need those skills for the middle level management of our country. Because the highly educated or the academician will not come to go under your car to fix that damaged part or whatever. We will not climb your roof to do it. But we need some skilled, cohort of people to be able to do that. So we are building middle level managers. We are responding to the needs of society so that we do not continue to hire labor from the outside. Sometimes it's sad. You have a broken car on the road, they will ask, the first question they'll ask you, who is your mechanic? And if you don't mention any name foreign, they say, oh no, he's not good enough. Even when I'm sure if I had asked you who dressed you up, you would tell me, oh, it's my Senegalese or Sierra Leonean tailor. What are we doing towards that? And that is what the ministry is doing. So that the number is not about failure, because everybody has some work to do. And we are building those competencies and skills across so that everybody picks up. That's why civic is there, and it is being strengthened and heightened at the level of Mohas, the Minister of Higher Education, so that as they transit, they also go there and develop skills and become big people.
Absolutely. Actually, I'm going to come back to a question maybe I should have asked earlier on, because when we were talking about why girls are doing better, you mentioned the investments you're putting in. But I wonder though, what about learning attitudes? Are we seeing anything, discipline, motivation between boys and girls? How much do these things play into success? And perhaps this would lead us into what are the good practices in school that deliver success? Go on.
I think there are so many things that deliver success. One thing, as I've mentioned earlier, a good administration. Our proprietor usually says, Mr. Mukhtar Bojang usually says that school is like a football team. Wherein, for example, there is a time where players transfer from one team to another team. There is when a particular coach is not doing well, you have to get rid of the coach and then get a new coach in, etc., etc. So that's basically how we see a school as. He also says that a school is like a marketplace wherein everyone can come in. You cannot turn someone away from a school. One of the things that maybe lead to our success is that one thing is we are a community school. We are established, I usually say, in the middle of nowhere, right at the heart of Jalambang, where we are surrounded by so many villages. And most of the students that we take are from these villages. They are from very poor backgrounds, not students that are from very rich homes. Also, they are from poor backgrounds, and then they come into the school, and then they are molded well. They put good attitude into them, because one thing that most students lack nowadays, or they don't have enough of, is good morals. That's very important when you want to learn. As a student, if you want to do well in school and you want to excel in learning, you have to have good morals. Your attitude needs to be good towards not only education, but also towards even your peers, towards your teachers, and then you have to be also morally upright. So those are one of the things that we try to put into our students, even from a young level, for them to have good attitude, good morals, and then when we know that they have good attitude and good morals at a younger age, then training them to be good students academically becomes easier. So as a school, we lay more emphasis on attitude, morals, and then next it comes to education. And just to buttress onto what the permanent secretary said, as a school also, we don't just focus on the very high flyers. If you follow upper basic sports, you will know that our school is also the top school in the country in terms of athletics. We won the national athletics competition just 2025. So it shows that we are not only focused on academics alone. We cater for even students who are not very good. We cater for students who are very weak. In fact, we have 2 of our students who will be representing the national team. Gina, the one we call Gina Bass, that's Adaman Jai, and we have another one that we call Ombak, who have been selected by the National Athletics Committee to represent the Gambia. So you can see that we are not only excelling academically, we are also excelling when it comes to civic, when it comes to athletics, and that all circles around good morals and good attitude from a very young age all the way to the senior level.
Yes. Father Goff used to say, well, sports is a supplementary to general education. Same question, really. But here, let's bring in the angle of the parents. How can parents help?
Well, first of all, I think that one of the things that is happening is that parents have been left out. Even though teachers murmur, parents should do this, parents should help, parents should help. But I realize that schools maybe don't reach out to parents. It's like, because most parents, obviously, I'm talking from obviously the private sector, because that's where I've been all my life. And one thing I've realized with the parents is that once they drop their child in your school, the next thing is they're going out there to look for money so that they can maintain the fees. And you can't blame the parents. We understand how the economy is. We understand that, you know, for some reason, everybody believes that I want my child to go to a private school for the same reasons the PS is saying, so that you can have maybe less in a class, more attention, you know. We know what we're looking for. Why do our people want to go abroad? So, but the thing is, most of the times, the school is not able to get the parents to be involved in the activities. So let's start with even the home training. We are saying that girls are doing better than boys. And it is not only about maturity. I believe that girls are doing better than boys because even at the home level, they are more engaged. From the time that a child is young, you are taught how to wash your nitty-gritties, you're taught how to wash dishes, help your mother in the kitchen, pound pepper, and do all sorts of things. And the boy will just wake up and say, I'm going to play football. And then when it is lunchtime, they'll come back with their friends, eat lunch, and then leave. Some people will even tell you that grown men who didn't finish school, who are not working, who sit and do attire the whole day, go home for lunch, and their special bowl is waiting for them there. So you realize that this also translates into our education system. At home, parents are giving more responsibility to girls. And they're, especially, I don't want to mention certain tribes, but their male children are so precious to them. It's like, this one is untouchable, don't say anything. But the girls, especially the women, we are the ones mainly at home, and we are very hard on our female children. But then again, at the end of the day, when it comes to the school level, I believe that informing parents about everything that is happening in the school is so important. I ended up having, in fact, I know all the parents because I know all the students. Sometimes they're like, how is it that you know every child in your school? I'm like, if somebody brings their child to my school, I don't see why I shouldn't know the name. Even if it is 500 students, every single child is a person, not a number or a thing or a profit-making item. So because of that, the parents also see the interest that we have in their children. Every little thing we call, whether the child says, my mom said I should go early, or I'm not feeling well, we call. We keep calling parents. A child does something wrong, we call the parents to come. There's a PTA meeting, we call. There's an achievement, we call. The child is not doing very well, we call. So continuously communicating with parents. And then what I did also, I created a community group on WhatsApp. And then what I did is I added every single parent's number, WhatsApp number, because that's on our form. And then even though we put them in groups according to the classes, and then we put administrators and then class teachers in there, but we also I saved every single parent's name with the child's name. So it's not like the parent's name is there, it's the child. So when you call me, I see Famata Sanyang. So I say, hello, are you Famata? Hello, is this Famata Sanyang's mom? Blah, blah, blah. So we start conversing because everything is centered on the child. So including the parents in what we're doing, causing them to know what is going on. Because mind you, some of these children, what they communicate to the parents is totally different from what is going on in the school. And when they see that there's a link and a strong communication between the school and the home, they're very careful about the things that they do.
That's it. So you mean here the school must take the initiative,
The
as it
school
were,
must
to
take the
establish the
initiative.
relationship with the parents.
Definitely.
P.S. If you want to respond to anything they've said, you may do so. And as well as answer for us this question, now with these results, I wonder how they will help shape future policy.
Of course, at every given point, especially after when results are released, we analyze them, and just not analyze them to know who does what or who does good or bad. It's also to help you to see which areas have the students done well and what is the likely reasons for that, and which areas they've not done well. So we will use this, of course, for decision making, and also for some, remedial functions that the ministry would want to take. Because if, for example, we realize that students are doing bad in maths in a region, because we look at per school, per region, and see the dynamics, what is involved. So we will go into in depth to analyze why is this school continuously doing well in maths or poor in maths? Why is this region continuously doing well in English or poor in English? And then we work around it, so that when we're doing teacher postings and placement, we pay attention to those teachers with those competencies or skills to be able to work on that. But just to quickly flag and say that as a ministry, we also have these structures. We have what we call the PTA, which she mentioned. But in addition to the PTAs, we have school management committees. We have the mothers clubs and many others. The reason for all of these organizations and structures is to get the parents participate more, as it were, in the entire learning process of their children, so that if they realize the importance of their participation and in what their participation does in terms of the welfare of the students, both academically, and even socially, then they will give it their best. But they've mentioned about attitudes and all of this. This, I must honestly say that as a ministry, we are aware of this. We've noted it, we've noticed it, we've noted it, we recognize it, and we've gone into remedying it. How did we do that? You will recall that civic education was taught in this country many years ago, especially at the senior secondary, junior secondary schools then, but then it was dropped. But what we have done in the recent past, few years back, is to reintroduce that again and made it compulsory. The reason for that is to actually help teach children, for them to have, for example, law for country, law for religion, law for elders, these ethics, things that we are not known for. Because if we see that children today in the streets, the kind of behavior they do, the kind of things they do, which we are not known for us as a society, as a country, and they are happening, there is need for us to respond to that as its education service delivery. And that's the reason why we brought in civic education. We spent a lot of resources to provide initial textbooks and teaching and learning materials so that they look at all of this. I will just give you an example that there was a school, without naming, that said they were not going to teach IRK.
Give us names.
They were not going to teach IRK. And when we forced, they said, okay, now they will do it as and when they wished. So meaning they could say, okay, the period would be 6 o'clock, 6 to 7. At that time, you would have had children exhausted, or they will only enter there 5-10 minutes, they will leave. We gave them ultimatum that if failure to do this will close the school, and they had to step up. We are not asking people to go and teach that because we want them to convert people either from Christianity to Islam or Islam to Christianity. No. But we want people to know the religion, the fear of God, the love of mankind, the respect for elders. These were virtues that we found here. We grew up under those. But they are all fading. And we need to bring them back if we want a progressive society, a progressive society, a society that was, known of our country. That is the reason, just to flag on that.
Absolutely. You sound like me sometimes. I feel like I'm a grumpy old man. But we've all shared really the same point here. We're really coming towards the end. Just two things here. I've heard educationists complain about this, that, for instance, exams like Gabece, really they never prepare students for real-world skills. It is still on rote learning, just to pass tests and move on. You had schools, just very quickly.
I think it depends on how it's taught, because I think the syllabus that is prepared by the Ministry of Education, I think it's practical enough. It's up to how schools and teachers are creative enough to be able to pass on those skills to the students. Yeah, that's what I believe.
Yes, the same goes for me. I actually embrace the MOPSI syllabus more than I embrace the WAEC. Of course, we are also result-oriented. So, but I realized that there are certain teachers, they are more interested in exam outcomes, exam focus. There was a particular person, a teacher, home economics teacher, asked, do we have a washing machine in the home economics department? Oh no, that is not in our syllabus, it is in the high school syllabus. I was like, yes, but we can also at least show children how to use a washing machine, because here I am a female having to work full-time and also manage a home, and then the washing machine really helps me. It doesn't make me lazy, it helps me to manage my time.
That's it quickly.
Yes.
Why MOPSI, not WAEC?
No, we use both. WAEC is
you
inside
focus
MOPSI.
more. Okay, all right.
WAEC is inside MOPSI because MOPSI is broader.
Yes.
MOPSI is more about teaching, educating. It's about life. But WAEC is more streamlined towards exams. So that is why I focus more on MOPSI and not just finishing the syllabus for the WAEC exams.
If I can just add, I think if you look at the WAEC questions that come nowadays, I think it's more practical. So they have changed the way they were asking questions before, like 5 years ago. Now more questions are more practical. Even when it goes to the WAS level, Gabece level, you see more practical questions than questions that just need students to just remember things. Instead, they need students to know things and apply whatever they have learned in real-world applications.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Can I ask PS a question?
You may.
Yes, please. PS, I wanted to find out, because you did mention civic education. At that time, I was teaching in the high school, and I was very excited when it came. But then somebody asked, what about the younger children? Because those at the high school, they're already grandmothers and grandfathers, like I would call them. And like what Mr. Campbell said, you would like them to, these things should be inculcated in them at the lower levels, so that they will grow with them, and then you would see it play out as they grow. So I was asking, do you have any plans in the ministry to incorporate civic education at the lower levels?
In fact, it is not limited to the upper basic or the senior secondary school. It is across the entire spectrum of the education service delivery, from grade 1 to grade 2. And I even always sometimes even encourage teachers, if you go to teach maths, for example, take just a minute of that maths to say something to the children about even loving themselves, recognizing each other as human beings. That in itself makes a lot of great things to those children. Once they begin to, every day you go into class, just say something, respect elders, for example. When elders come, you are sitting down, get up, allow them sit. These are things that they will grow up. So it starts really from grade 1 to grade 12. And quickly, just to respond to their issue when you asked about this thing, what the ministry has done in the recent past, like they have all observed, we used to have what we call a knowledge-based curriculum. In that way, people were all focused on passing exams, regurgitation, all about pouring and getting high score.
That's the rote learning I was talking about. Exactly. Yes.
So once you do that, you finish that exams, you get all the A's, you are lucky to get an employment or a job somewhere, you will never deliver. And people begin to wonder and say, oh, but he has the best result, he's the most qualified. Yes, you are the most qualified. But that knowledge that you gain, you really did not, and that's why sometimes you hear people say, he went to the university, but he did not allow the university to go to him. So these are the things. So we have changed that knowledge base now to competence base. And the competence base are skills that you will live with. And for that, we created a whole directorate at the ministry called lifelong learning. For the rest of your life, a directorate that will build those skills with people that they will live with until they die. Because knowledge is the only thing. Skills is the only thing. Competence is the only thing that you die and go with. Absolutely. The rest of it, we leave it here. So that's what the ministry has done in the past, and I'm glad it's paying dividend now because we are seeing the change, and our students that leave this country and go outside are doing exceptionally well.
I wonder, do we make sort of regional comparisons? Because I try to do that. At this level, the Gabece, and I think in Ghana, they've got what, basic education, certificate examination. Do we make regional comparisons so that we can situate ourselves among our neighbors?
Yes.
We do. By the way, we are 5 countries that sit to these exams.
Yes.
Ghana, Sierra Leone, Liberia, Nigeria, and the Gambia.
Yes.
Now, in terms of basic exams, it is independent of each country, meaning like our Gabece, we can sit it as and when we want to sit it to it. We can determine, we have influence over it. So, but what we do is the items that are developed are cross-cutting amongst the country. So we compare notes, as it were, to see which country is doing well. But for public forum like this, sometimes we avoid giving country comparison. We do it at the meeting level, at another level, in terms of performance.
What's happened to transparency?
Yes, no, there is no, the reason
why can't you say it here?
Yeah, no, the reason for this is you begin to talk about the performance of another country,
objectively assessed and reported.
Yes, yeah, no, but it's in the media. It is in the open there where you can go about it. But we do compare. Just to tell you, we do compare both Gabece, but more importantly, the one we do is the WAS, and that's where students are assessed across. If you are the best student in that WAS, whether you are a Gambian or a Sierra Leonean, you are given the award at that regional level. So there is always a comparison. And that's what helps you as a country also to see where you are not doing well and where you could learn from your neighboring country or so on and so forth. So the answer is yes, we do regional comparison.
That's it. So when you publish it, we can invite you back. Let us discuss it. Thank you very much. We've come to the end of our 55 minutes, really, not quite an hour. Thank you very much, Mr. Claude Campbell, the Vice Principal of Mansa Kulibojang Upper Basic School.
Thank you very much.
Cheers. You came top this year.
Thank you
Congratulations.
very much. Thank you.
On my left here, we've got the PS, Permanent Secretary, Minister of Basic Education, Louis Moses Mendy. Thank you very much. And Harriet Martha Kamara, you also did well. Congratulations. Thank you very much for joining us. And our viewers, until next time, I'm Udumbuch. Bye-bye.